And I'm also using some of Terry's slides and added a few of my own in terms of video. And so I'll try to answer questions, and if I don't know, I'll send them to Terry as that works. And I switch. Looking for the arrow, so just no, there's usually arrows. You know where those arrows are? Yeah. Nope, there's none down here to advance.
I turned our audio on.
We're working on it.
The arrows are just to the bottom left-hand corner of your slide.
I know where they're at, but they're not showing up.
Yeah.
Okay, I have them.
Oh, no, tell her we're doing. Oh, but does she have them?
I have them.
Turn our audio off.
So I wanted to discuss some information on marketing and looking at first whether this is a horse or a business. I think some of this will apply to both of those units. And we just got done talking about the parts of the business, and you also have to market or advertise your business. So you have to look at who your customers are, who's going to use those services, and are there ways you can advance or utilize those services. Your demographics, and that may change because of all the social media that we can use. You have a lot more influx of or a larger market area than one ever used to. Are there needs in the area that aren't being met, or in the country, depending on what your business is? Can you grow or expand? And similar to the last talk, is there another entity you can add on to, for example, horse boarding? I have a boarding business, and keep it really as boarding, but is there something else that could be added on there? And then, as you know, if you look at your accounts and look at the different entities, are they profitable? And because if you're audited, which I had the advantage of being audited the first year I filed for a business. And so one of the things they do, are you marketing your business? Are you advertising your business? So you have to increase money. You have to either find more potential customers in the marketplace. You have to find right quality horse in terms of, can you resell it? Are you maximizing the potential of your existing customers? And maybe there's someone at the boarding barn that you can utilize. Word of mouth in the horse industry is one way of expanding your business. Are you retaining your customers? There's a facility here around Ames, Iowa, that has a reputation of not being a good boarding facility, and over the years, it's just been impossible for anybody who comes in and leases that barn to get over that first poor reputation of customers and taking care of the horses. If you have a company, what are the strengths and weaknesses? And there's a number of areas you can go through in terms of determining that. Your competencies, again, that's going to change a little bit with whatever business you're in. And, if it's hay production, can you improve that? Can you buy the machinery that has the automatic hay baler throwers? And then you have to have some vision, and you do, and I don't think anywhere today that if we address writing a business plan. But one of the things, if you ever get audited, is that they are going to want to look at your business plan, and that has to be written. And you have to assume that an auditor knows nothing about a horse. You really have to be able to explain that plan. And then is there some unique areas that would exist in terms of developing that? Competition, who are your competitors? Boarding, it's other boarders. But, I have other competitors. It could be a training barn because they also take boarders, or it could be a equitation barn. So what are your competitors? What are they charging so that you're at least competitor there? Do they have strengths and weaknesses? So what is there something that you offer that the other barns don't? Is there something that you can use on a website that the other, let's say, businesses do not? And then what do you have in common? Because a lot of companies have things in common. So what's going to set you off from other companies? And then the reputation there is extremely important. One of the things you have, and couple slides didn't show up. So again, we'll send this out. It's just a little bit different than Terry's. One of the things that you have to consider, it doesn't matter whether it's a business, well, if it's a business, you have to brand it. Think of a brand on a cattle that they brand that into the side. You have to develop something that's unique to your business. You need this for your web page. You can use it on a Facebook page. You can even use it as your Twitter picture. But there has to be something. And many times it would be good if you go to a graphic artist and have them design something. This is a brand that we designed for a program that we have here. We have the brand, the Equine Business Conference. The North Central region is down in the right corner. Those are all different types of brands in terms of utilizing that. And that's becomes everything that you do. And then you're going to take this brand and you're going to follow it through on all different types of marketing areas that you can expand your business. So I'll go through a few of these that may or may not have registered. And so one is clinics. If you can host them. You can take your facility and let somebody else host them, but you use your facility. Or business. You could have, even in, let's say, a tax shop, you can have open houses and teach people about tax. You can join a speakers bureau, try to guest lecture as much as you can. You can write a book or ebook. Anymore, it's probably an ebook. Write and submit articles. Join associations, and with their newsletters, because that's how every time you get your name in front of somebody, then your business expands. And so there's nothing wrong with trying to write articles and submitting them. Trade show booth. Minnesota has a great horse fair. From Michigan. Nebraska, I know theirs is not being held this year, but they usually have a horse fair. Iowa has one. But there's other types of areas you can have booths in. There's nothing wrong with horses, especially depending on the business, of going to the cattleman's show booth and having something there if you have that type of business. Sponsorships are good. You have to, everybody will ask you for a sponsorship. So you have to really consider, one, what you can afford. Two, is it really for the benefit of the company? And then publicity. And so your top horses and successful students, you can write articles on them. You can put their picture on Facebook. You can make comments on Facebook or Twitter. You can write press releases. And sometimes it doesn't mean they have to be published, press releases, but you could learn to do a press release, when an extension, the 4-H'ers show, let's say at the state fair, they go back to their town and there's a little article written on that youth. That's a sort of a press release. The other thing is to consider developing some consistent colors that will follow through on that brand. And you take those colors in your shirts, your apparel, maybe your jackets, your caps. That would be clothing. You could even go saddle pads but it's consistent throughout. So every time people will see those colors, that they think of your business. Every time they see the name or even the abbreviation, that they think of your business. And so that's something that can be very important. It can be a very useful tool. Even if you're, for example, someone that, like a chiropractic or a farrier that goes out, if you have, a jacket or a cap that always has your name on it, you can pick up business. Let's say it's a boarding barn, and there's other people that don't use you. Well, they may start using you. Horse care facility assistants. Your assistants follow through. If you have people working for you and you take them anywhere, have them wear, give them a free T-shirt that has your brand and your colors on it. Same with school horses. Maybe it's the same color halters, same color lead ropes. Look at clinicians. You can have barn parties, but always remember your safety protocol. We'll be talking about insurance the last program today. Some audio-visual, if you're so inclined, because as you see that there's always problems with technology, but you can tape your student lessons. One, it's a good teaching tool, but it's also a good way to post on YouTube. Professional examples. There's nothing wrong with, even if you own a tack shop, to go through some of the items where you're describing some of that tack, how to use it, and then post it on YouTube. The sales horses, your promotion of trainers and riders. Stallions, if you have a stallion, you have to promote it. There's no two ways about it. And audio promotion. You have internet video, you have websites, they're easy to develop. There's YouTube, taped interviews, commentary. All of these can influence more people. If I think of Facebook, the more people that the more people expand that just know about your business. So one of the things is, there's a couple of things. One is that you have to, if possible, get a website. And there's some free areas out there. Person in the room here said about Google Slides, and that's supposed to be a fairly easy site to develop your own website, and it's free for, I think, the first 10 megabytes. You pay a little bit more over that, and there's some other places you can develop free websites. But you really need to have some website that you can send people to. Even if you have a boarding business, it's a good idea to take good pictures and post it. One is that if you ever get audited, you could show the auditor where to go and he can see your site. That's positive. The other thing is that you have to get a domain name. And that's a little bit different than setting up the website. But sometimes you have to check one if that domain name, if anybody else has it. And if somebody else has it, you can't get it. And so you have to do a search. And there's companies out there that will sell domain names, or free website developers. They will also help get a domain name. And do you drop my mic? Do you need to advertise? Or yeah, you bet. You have to keep it up to date so that people will go back to it. And you know, if you look at the ad here, you know, that's going to change because that's related to the Quarters Congress. And so that has to be kept up to date. The other thing you can do is look at analytics. How many people actually go to your page? And so this is a free site. You know, are you getting hit? The visits doesn't mean you had visitors. They really have to click on your page and scroll through it to be a visitor. But you can go to compete.com, or Google Analytics would be another one that will, you put your website in there and they'll keep track of how many people visit your site. So you can use it. Is that working? Is your site working? You have to also look at search engine optimization. Now, you know, if I put in horse, you know, there's a million things that come up on Google. And so you know, what makes one website come up more than another? Well, they use keywords. And you can find out about what these keywords are by looking at, you know, search engine to try to optimize those keywords. And so sometimes it takes years, but you can get help by going to various places and assessing that. And so here, if you look at this site here, horse classified ads, again, what makes one site? And so you can look up, you know, Google words, just find the words that it's going to bring up more people. Sometimes, you know, there's companies that will help get your site up first, or at least in the top 10 in terms of looking at that. Because personally, I don't go past 5 pages when I'm looking for something. And so if it's past 5 pages, then I tried something else. So I'm going to utilize some of Terry's slides in terms of looking at that, because besides the website, we really have to look at social media, and that's what the presentation hers was on today. And so what you're doing is spreading your name. You're spreading the content. You're spreading your expertise to various audiences. Now, some audiences you may or may not want to have. You're communicating with them. You're trying to be seen as a leader, and you really want them to know literally everything that you offer. That could be, again, if you have customer memos of how much they like your equipment, you can post that. Or if you have a Facebook page, which we'll look at in a little bit, they can post on there, oh, I just bought this carriage and it's just this wonderful carriage, and those things are just an excellent way to market and advertise. So what are some things you can do with social media? Now, social media, I'm talking about Twitter, I'm talking about Facebook. You have to look at email, but anymore, Facebook's kind of like a big email site in terms of assessing that, and blogs. And we'll talk about those, but you kind of get a peek behind the scenes. Now, some of those you may have a website on, and so then they want to find out more, and so they go to your website. Most of those you can't post the whole, you know, you can't post everything about a business on these social media. You can tell what your company does on an information page. Sometimes you need to use keywords, but you can provide that. You can, again, send them to your website. You can be candid, but you never want to talk about others, because anything that you post that may have any negative inclination to it, it's going to spread. And so you want to be always positive, even if someone says, I don't like that product. You can interact, and like we're doing today, this is a lot of interaction between 4 states. And so you can interact, and you can use Skype and even see people if they need to communicate to you more directly. Standing in for yourself, that's a little bit more difficult. You can find potential customers and reach a lot more markets, even international markets, depending on, again, what you're trying to market. You want to target your online advertising. And so sometimes if you have a business, let's say, I'll take a tack store, you have all kinds of tack there. You're not going to put all that on social media. So you maybe weekly target one piece. The Equine Business Facebook has set up a month in advance. This week we'll cover this. This week we'll cover this, so that you're not jumping around in terms of what you're targeting there. See where your customers are. You can click on them and see where they're coming from. Is it local or is it everywhere? Let customers help each other out, and so you're building a community and letting your customers contribute to your business. Don't pretend to be someone else. You need to be honest. I'm selling a horse, and I'm trying to, it's a Western pleasure horse, and someone wants a jumping horse. You don't try to make one into the other. You need to be honest about that. Reward customer loyalty. Try to get coupons or something that can bring people back to that site. You can see what people are saying about you. Sometimes you may not like that, but look at the positives, not always the negatives. Help others promote you, and don't promote too aggressively. Again, pick one area for that week. Pick another thing for that week. And you don't want to excessively promote it, but you want to find kind of that mean where that works. To engage, again, that visitor offline. Can you email them? Can you get them to call you? A lot of people, they don't like the phone. I mean, they text you, but calling, it's hard for them to do, some of them. And so you may want to have text available for some people. You can look for talent and connect with, again, those potential partners. And so Facebook, one is that a lot of people use Facebook, but I know there's quite a few that still do not. It's not everywhere. And especially if you get into some of the agricultural areas, farmers, they may not use the social network. But if you want to build a business, it's one of the most important tools that you can use. And so here we have Facebook, and they do have different accounts. You can, when you first sign in, you can get a personal account. Well, that's usually what, look at the next slide. You can also get what they call a business account, and that's a business account only. And so in this case, this is designed for individuals who only want to use this site for their business, ad campaigns. And so this allows you to kind of build a simple presence in Facebook, but you're not interacting maybe on a daily basis with your fans. So that would be probably the disadvantage. If you like to interact, then you'd probably want to use this. You wouldn't want to use the business account only account. The other one is a page, build the page. And so we have our personal profile, and then you can build a page, and you can list your page on your personal profile. One of the things that you don't want to do is that your personal profile is also your business page, because there's going to be family and other people on there that they don't really need to know about your business, or vice versa. And so in this case, it's pretty easy to create a page. Allows you to update fans, to know how many people are visiting your site, to develop a close relationship. You can write them, and then you can also set your privacy settings. Do you want only friends to see, non-friends to see? You have to really look at that, because the norm for Facebook is that everybody can see. And so typically when you, on everybody's personal page in the right-hand corner up on top, there's a create a page. And so you click on that, and all it does is ask you what kind of page you want to develop. And it could be kind of a nonprofit, it could be entertainment. And the reason they ask you for that is that's what you're going to be grouped in. And so if someone's doing a search and they say horse, maybe it's under sports or related to that particular. But your name and your brand will also, your keywords in your Facebook page can also be very important in terms of getting people to that page. So this is the Reichert Equine Foundation. The foundation page is actually their scholarship page where they offer scholarship. And so really it just kind of starts out kind of blank, and then you can build it to where you just have some information on the left. Then you have where you post things. You have to, one, get people to the site. And so you can send it out to your friends and they may click on it. They may share it. They may like it. And so typically you'd have a like button up here in terms of assessing that. Consider these privacy tips for a business. One is to use the friend list feature. So this allows you to make all your lists into different groups. And then you can click on which ones you want, are considered friends. So family in one group, business contacts in another, cooking club or horse club in another. And then you can issue different privacy settings per list. And so that one, everybody can see everything. Or two, just business people can see stuff. Or and so that's a good area. The other one is you can turn off photo tagging, where people, they took a picture of you falling off a horse on a trail ride. Maybe you don't want that to be tagged in that picture so everybody else can see it. So you can turn the tag off if you want. Or you're, in this case, having a few beers and you don't want that to be tagged in that, especially on your business page. You don't want to be tagged in that, and so you can turn that photo tag off. Protect your photos. And so you can change settings on photo privacy so that your family pictures aren't shared with your business contacts. It's very good in terms of your family pictures not having them go everywhere. You don't share who your friends are. So just without any details. And so you can assess that and look at these, click on the different privacy areas and assess that in terms of looking at what security can you use. Choose who can see your contact information. So many people will put, all their personal data on there, including where they live and what their phone number is and how old they are. And you may not want all that on the business. You may just want you as the owner, phone number, place to contact you. And so you may not want them to have a personal email address. You can go to Google and just get a business Gmail account. Whatever the title of your business is. So you may not want to use your personal email for your business. And then your wall settings, you can control who's putting posts on, or if you're going through your post and you don't like it, delete it off of there so that other people don't see that. And you can ban individuals if you want to deface them. In terms of not being a friend anymore. So here's a page, the Reichert Celebration. And so this is their brand up in the left corner. And so that's your picture that you upload. And then any picture that you take will be shown up here. And then they can click on information over here. Now the one thing that's nice is this Insights. That's also another way, if you click on that, if you have a page, you can click on that and it's going to show you how, where your usage is, how many people are coming to your Facebook page. So that's very good information that will graphically show you that in terms of that. And then you have your posts here. in terms of assessing that. Most of the stuff on the right side, you can't really control. Facebook has some control over that. Blogging, what do you need to blog? And I have to personally say I'm not a blogger, but my husband was, and he loved to blog. But there are ways to use this where it doesn't control your life. And so it's really a software that allows you to post content, maybe from your website or homepage, more resembles a journal, kind of in reverse chronological order. And so the blog is it's going to help you develop more content than what a Facebook page can, what Twitter can. It's going to help you develop more connection to people because they may blog back to you in more detail, more community in terms of, again, they can just write a lot more or ask you more detailed questions than you could with Facebook or Twitter. So one place that is easy in terms of blogging is WordPress.com, and it's a hosted version. There's no real setup. It's free, and you kind of choose a theme, and then you start blogging. The downside of it is that you don't have a lot of control over your website domain or the name of the blog. One step backwards, you can set up in Facebook that it's www.facebook.com/ the name of your business. So you just have to go through and change that so that your page lists the name of your business. So here's a blog here on WordPress. And so you have an image, you have, maybe it's some heading or was the business conference, and we list all the questions on here. That's not what we're doing, but we list all the questions on here, and then they're answered on here. So that's another social media outlet that you can use. So some tips for getting more from your blog: you have to read them, you have to follow them, and you have to listen to them. So you definitely have to, read them and respond to them. So if you're not responding, you're not getting that interaction in terms of looking at that. Write about what people search for. And so if you're one of the, if you kind of resisted it and you don't think anybody will read it, they probably won't. Most blogs aren't read like a magazine where you open it up and you can sit on the couch or in a recliner and read it. But you can post answers to questions, problems, and challenges that your market is having. Let's say there's a farrier in here that he creates a blog. Well, this is a place for other people that are having hoof problems to write questions in, and then develop a blog on hoof care. So that's one way that you can use that. You have to, again, use those phrases. And so if you look up the phrases for a website, follow those through all your social media. Ask for participation. So you may have to tell people, come to my blog or visit my blog. If you have a Twitter account, put your blog account on there. If you have Facebook, send them to the blog. And so you have to kind of you have to show people where everything is at. Because again, there's so much out there that you have to kind of pinpoint them in terms of assessing that. Sometimes invite a little humor on a blog and ask people to give you their opinions, whether it's negative or positive. Some points can be amplified, and so that's one thing you have to be careful of in terms of making sure that your answers are correct. Sometimes you have to take your personal feelings out of an answer that has to be more accurate or scientific. Engage your comment community. And so when they say thank you, when they say appreciate the presentation, appreciate the work you did on my horse today, go back and say you're welcome, appreciate the response, because all of that, one, is you're increasing traffic to your site. If it's a debate, it's okay to start one. Nothing wrong with good debates, and but engage them well and include your content in your blog post via Twitter, so they can go back and forth. You can tell Twitter to where the blog is, and you can tell the blog where Twitter is, or Twitter where Facebook is, and Facebook where Twitter is, and they all communicate to one another. Amplify your message. And so if you have a really good question and answer, then put it on all three sites. LinkedIn is another. It's a little more professional than Facebook, but that's another similar to Facebook. But you can tell LinkedIn that whatever you post on Facebook is posted on LinkedIn. So you can go back and forth, at least you're on that site. But that's more of a business site than you have to have some traffic strategy, and so you do have to have a strategy related to all of this social media. Then you could also do searches for blogs that are similar to what you're blogging about, or put your company in there and see if other people are blogging about you. And then you can respond to that or add a byline to that. And so it's good to know what other people are talking about out in the industry. So this is the WordPress, and it just, again, you have an example here of one that's typing in a blog. The Gold Star Futurity, which is a huge Arabian fraternity here in Iowa, they have a blog almost starting from after the show ends to the next show, and then during the show they blog continuously of what every class is and who's winning in that class, and so that people follow something like that. And then Twitter, in simplest terms, it's kind of a free service that you can say anything you want in 140 characters or less, which is not a lot of characters. It's difficult to do. It allows you to connect and network. It allows you to get an instant access to what's being said about you, your customers, your organization. Again, is there anything positive or negative out there? And it may give you a steady stream of ideas. Now, if you want to promote your product or service, it's just, you can't do over 140 words or less. In terms of Twitter, again, you can, if you post something on Facebook, you can tell it to put it on Twitter. And so that's one way to minimize some of the time you may spend. The other places to promote the internet. Yeah, I'll get to that in a little bit, but yes, there's a lot of places that you can promote in terms of written material. And so some of you have the smartphones, and you can set some of these accounts up on there, like Twitter or a blog. And so if you're good on, I think kids are better, a lot faster typing than I am, but they can share with that too. So anything you said that monitors gets back to you, and you do need to respond to Twitter. And so it's pretty easy. Again, you can set it up on a phone. If you don't, and some people don't like to use Facebook. They're nervous about it, nervous about the privacy that's advanced on that. And so advanced search here, you can put phrase words in here in terms of, again, looking for your company. Here's what your Twitter page may look like. You can put your picture up there so people can see if they want to follow you or not. And then they're going to ask, do you want to follow this person here? So kind of managing the system, it's not a solution. One of the hardest challenges is entering social media to determine how to accomplish these tasks. And I'll agree that, you have full-time jobs. If you have horses, you're taking care of horses, watering, feeding, daily routines. And so you have to balance them in terms of looking at that. And one of the things is to not get in the habit of checking it every hour. It's not, you can check it 3 times a day or twice a day, morning, afternoon, and evening. Utilizing Craigslist. Let me see here for a minute. Okay. Craigslist is another way if you just put in Craigslist to Google search and the name of the town that you're in, maybe not if it's a little tiny town, but it's something that's near you. And Craigslist is a free way to sell products. They have services on there. I put my boarding stable on Craigslist all the time on their services. Now, I haven't got a lot of feedback from that. It doesn't mean, it might be that I'm just listing it in the wrong town. That would be the negative part of that. You have to go maybe from city or town to town. But you need to sell tractors, sometimes horses. You can do horses. You can't sell pets, but you can put a rehoming fee, which is the same thing as selling them, but rehoming fee on a pet. And so that's another way to, you don't have to always do eBay, which does have a price associated with it. So that's probably a little bit easier method to move things. eBay is also a good way to find, items, especially tack, or post your business on there and list all your items on eBay. You don't have to sell it for less than what it's worth. You can put a bottom price on everything. Don't forget to print. And some just may like to print. You have to, again, if you have colors and you have your brand, then follow it through with that. Be selective. In Iowa, there's not a lot of magazines. In other states, there's good magazines, newsletters that you can post to. Look at the cost and lead time associated with that. Look at your sporting disciplines, especially, if it's driving, you look at driving. If it's barrel racing, and so you may have look at larger demographic areas. You must fit the readers and highest quality reader. Regional, anytime you get to a bigger regional, the price of print goes up, and so regional price goes up, national price goes up, and so you have to see it. Are you marketing a regional, local, national product, and that will determine that. Newspapers and shoppers are good ways to post, especially horses for sale. Sometimes you get people to come out and look, and sometimes you find a buyer that way. Posters and flyers, take posters and flyers, go put them in tack shops. If it's not, you're selling a horse. If you're selling equipment, go take that and post it, let's say, at a horse show. And so that what you're doing is you're getting more eyeball or sight to see every time you post something. There's somebody that looks at it, and so the more times you can get your name out there, the more chances you have of promoting a business. Don't use a graphic designer, or if you're good at it, go the extra mile. This is one of the flyers I used for the Equine Business Conference. You have the program. They don't always have to have equine experience, but it doesn't hurt if you have a graphic designer. And so that's their job. And you can be more creative, or they have a creative mind and they can be more creative in terms of designing that. If not, the other thing that you really want to be careful of is if you're going to sell horses, if it's not a good picture, don't even put it in the ad. That's the first thing that will turn me personally away from even looking at the ad. So if you have to wait a month, then you're going to have to wait a month in terms of getting that horse posted. And look at the best poses. And there's good sites out there that you can Google and look at the best way to pose a horse in terms of assessing how to sell an animal. The other thing would be that with marketing, and you've seen all these different methods. There's the hard copy, the social media, the websites. And so equine business solutions, but anyways, they you know, if you develop a calendar, and so on this calendar you put kind of your marketing tool or strategy. Is it free? And the cost of it. You know, what's your goal with developing a page on Facebook? If it's just to have a page, then you may not need it. You may use something else. The dates that I'm gonna, for this 1 month, I'm gonna see how many fans I get, if it's a page, or how many calls I get if it's selling a horse. And then you kind of look at your return. Did I sell 2 horses for $0? Well, that's a pretty big return. So I'd use that form of advertisement again. But if it was, if I got a negative return on it, then you might think about it, like flyers or print material. And so assess that. So I know we ran over a little bit because lunch is coming up, but I'm going to answer some questions, and I'll see if I can get Facebook up on this other. Question was here, can you link SurveyMonkey into Facebook? I have not seen that linked together.
The answer is yes. Peggy, just to let you know, here in Michigan, we're typing some questions into the chat box for you over from Facebook. So you only need to look in one place if that makes it easier.
Yes.
If you see the ones that are typed in by Laura Fisher, those are the ones that are coming over from Facebook.
Correct. Question was that I had mentioned open house, having an open house at a facility. And it's hard to know if you get a good return on your investment there, because you're going to have to spend some money to market that open house. But if you get business from that, let's say it's riding lessons, and that's a return on investment, or you pick up someone that stud fee, or you know, if you're having zoning problems and you invite the board of directors from the town over and have them look at your farm and talk about it. You know, there's other ways to utilize that. But yes, anything you do to advertise that, you have to record and make sure that's all, you know, recorded and kept up to date. Even the ads in the newspapers. There's a big farm north of here in Ames that's how they started, was with an open house. And I have Facebook, so okay, I have Facebook up. So it says press releases with your local shopper newspaper. Our features a local business each week, and so yeah, look at what your local newspapers offer. The other thing, you know, like here in Iowa, and I'm sure other states have it, is the Iowa Newspaper Association. And for about $150, you can put a little classified thing that will go to all the little newspapers around the state, not the ones in the big cities. And so there's different ways to look at putting things in print that can get business to your facility. You donate to a local charity, will be happy to put out a small write-up in the paper. That's true. They do publicize. So if you donate, a lot of times they'll write something up on you. So that's kind of a sponsorship. A lot of times if it's a charity, you can get a tax write-off on it. The question here? A search on Facebook, you just up here and search. Yes, she says she Googles her company on Google every month, but how can you do a search on Facebook? Well, you would put it up in the search box right here. It's same right here. I don't have an arrow, but well, let's say, what's your company? Oh, it's not. I'm on the wrong screen. Oh, okay. Now I see. There. So you put it up on like Iowa Valley carriages, and it will carriage, and it will bring it up. Okay, we'll go back to the comments here. Never underestimate the power of flyers and postings at local feed and tax stores. Yes, and again, design them, that they look good. And there's, you can, if there's Microsoft products, you can lay out flyers. You just don't want to write something up and just blow up the print. Can I provide a copy of the equine marketing calendar? Yes, I can provide that, and I will, again, I'll answer these questions, and Terry can help. Also that, I'll provide that in the PowerPoint that I have. So you'll be getting that either, well, via email. Sponsor class at a local horse show. Favorite restaurant in town has employees wear T-shirts from other businesses in the area on certain days of the week. So that's, that's working with, you could do restaurants. I'm working with a club here at the school, and the one thing that they're doing is that the restaurant is for these many hours that they get, I think it's 5% of whatever the restaurant makes, and this selling this one product. And so the club brings in people for that. And so it's kind of a win-win on that. Farm and garden section, yes, it's for and that's what slipped my mind, but that's where I advertise my boarding business on Craigslist. And then, question from Minnesota, examples of things you would tweet about. I'm not a big tweeter, but I would tweet, let's say, well, open house at such and such a business. There's a sale on this kind of saddle blanket. And so those are things you can tweet about. You can also tweet, I, being the company, sponsored such and such a class at this horse show. Well, you're both winning that direction. And so something that's short, sweet, but you can Twitter about. You can respond to comments on YouTube video. Yeah, it's good to respond to comments on YouTube. Again, that's another source. It's easy to upload video, and most phones take video anymore. And you can upload video, but again, you don't want to upload something that's poor. If it's a bad video, you're better off not putting it on there. If it's a good video, advertise, use it all as much as you can. Some things to stay away from when you name your business. Well, anything that's derogatory would be number one. Anything, depending on your business, that may, that may or may not have faith in the title. Anything that's infringent on somebody else's name. There's lots of businesses out there that never get a number or register their business. So there may be places that have your business name, but if it's registered under you, then if you found that other place, they would have to change their name. Otherwise, I think that everybody's ready for lunch, and again, I'll be able to answer some questions as over the next couple of weeks, we'll be answering all these questions in a written form. Have a break and see you in about an hour.